Boy Wardy, and we're back at it with the latest post-game segment as the Metropolitans take game one of a 3-game set in Cincy by a final score of 3-2. In today's show, we're going to go over the key takeaways, what I liked, maybe what I didn't like, because yes, there's definitely a lot of flaws with this Mets team, but after another victory, now 2 straight, you're sensing a little bit of momentum in the right direction, especially for a team that by all means is not performing on all 4 cylinders right now. So we're going to get into a lot from this key win, again, what I liked, and also, again, what are things that the Mets still need to improve on here and everything in between. But more than anything, to everyone first chiming in, watching live on YouTube, people watching on Twitter, make sure to smash that like, that follow button, and retweet button. Know that all for my Twitter viewers, I will only be interacting with the chat that you see here on YouTube. So highly implore you to help us get to 25K subs, our next short-term goal. Thank you all so much in advance. Spam those W's on the live chat. That is what I want to see, folks. Shout out, as always, to our amazing sponsor at BetUS, who I plan more on saying them later in the show here, but spam the W's, folks. We got ourselves a little bit of a winning streak here and plenty to break down from this key takeaway. But before I get into it more, let's listen to the first official Mets post-game WardyNYM jingle after a victory of 2024. Here we go.
Postgame! Postgame! Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame!
I'm pretty sure the jingle finished playing. Shout out to my amazing friends, Jordan Simpson, Greg, the Jingle Boys, that you guys know very well on Twitter. They have been coming at you with jingles for everything Mets related throughout the past calendar year, and I want to give them a huge shout out for coming out with this one, knowing that he doesn't have to deal with Eduardo Escobar to start the season like he did last year, and knowing that truthfully, even though that Mark Vientos' defense is very suspect, that he isn't on the roster currently either to be a potential problem in platooning. So Brett Baty has continued to step up. I have so much to say on him in today's show in particular, everybody, but let's start by breaking down the ball game. CP, how you doing? Joseph, how you doing, my man? Happy to have you in here. Yes, felt it here. What gets win again? I don't know what that meant, Joseph. I apologize. Great member though. We're hot. We may never lose a game again. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to you, Jacob. As always, great member here. Really appreciate you, my man. But now, guys and gals, let's get back into this one because again, the game starts. Before it even begins, we have some key updates that I have to share with you all. We didn't do a pregame show today. Was busy. Back here, though, very excited to get into this one. Julio Teheran signing was official, earlier announced by the Mets, and as the corresponding move, the Mets have DFA'd Michael Tonkin after allowing the runs that he did in extra innings both on Tuesday and then back yesterday as well, and the Mets lost in their game one of their doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers. Michael Tonkin, who ate just around 90 innings, right around a 4 ERA last year, pretty much pitching multiple innings every time out there for the Hot Atlanta Braves, has now been DFA'd. I will not be shocked if a team like the Braves picks him up right away, just like how they do every year with Jesse Chavez. And Jesse Chavez, even at the age of 40, still gets the mats while he would say be a bum elsewhere. Michael Tonkin, while I do personally would still like to see him clear waivers and go there into AAA Syracuse, because you can never have enough arms. Yes, he got off to a very flat start, but still, if you can prevent him from being picked up elsewhere, I would love that. Unfortunately, this is reality when you send guys down that don't have minor league options, but this also shows you kind of the no-nonsense mentality David Stearns has with a bullpen, knowing that he has other guys either in AAA or currently on the roster that can help make ends meet on the bullpen front without a problem. And after seeing what Jose Buto can do, I want that man up as soon as humanly possible as a rotation starter. And if not a starter, then certainly I want him there in a spot to be eating multiple innings for the Mets on numerous occasions. I love what I saw from Jose Buto thus far, and I hope that we see more of that from him. And again, there's more youngsters in this lab too. So again, there's reasons to be excited and there's reasons to be optimistic about this Metropolitan team, all things considered. Even though that, yes, they still have some glaring holes that we are going to talk about in tonight's show. On a serious note, hope everyone is safe after the earthquake scare. 100%. Thank you so much for the donation, Juan. want. I appreciate that, Left GM. I know it had a lot of people shook. It had my mom a little shook today too, just because, again, it's not something you're expecting. Even if you're not in the area there in Jersey, it really, of course, again, impacted a lot of people in the general area here on the East Coast. So hopefully no one was affected too negatively. Again, I appreciate the donation, the kind words, as always, Juan. I'm seeing a lot of Baty believers in here, folks. So you know what, guys and gals, before we break down the game, let's jump to my player of the game. Getting back into this one, Brett Baty, between the highlight reel defense that we saw, the 104-mile-per-hour snag he made with ease there, diving in the hot corner, to the out he got, driving and drilling out Ellie De La Cruz, the speedster, going down first. I have absolutely loved what I have seen from Brett Baty so far. Every single day, his defense continues to look better. His offense is providing what we needed to in many aspects. He is becoming the player that we have been longing for, that we hoped for all of last season. Baty, of course, went through a lot of mental uphills last year, a lot of struggles, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, has come into this season clear-minded and is playing the best baseball that we have seen at his professional career at the MLB level. Wardy just pulled a Lindor and failed us all. How dare you? What happened? Well, I don't know what happened, my friend. I don't know. But again, Ann, thank you so much for the membership. Happy to have you in here as always. But yes, Brett Baty is my star of the night after being the only Met to have a couple hits, more than one. And I know McNeil had the home run, but I'm sorry. The other at-bats from Jeff, I wasn't loving. And Jeff's defense was not looking the way that Brett was today. I have to give it to Brett Baty, everybody. Let me know, if, guys and gals, if you agree or disagree. Do you think Baty's deserving to be the guy today? Oh, I must be behind a little bit. Fix the audio. Yes, you are 5-speed for sure. Everybody, let me know in the chat if you agree or disagree with Brett Baty being the Mets player of the night, the star of the night, in my humble. Like and subscribe on your way in or out. Doesn't matter. We're oh so close to 25k subs. We have a massive giveaway coming on the channel, so make sure you guys and gals stay tuned for that. But getting back into this one, folks, the game starts there that we saw in the first inning. Francisco Lindor. A final thing. I'm a schmuck. I'm sorry. JD Martinez had his first rehab game today in Port St. Lucie, went 0 for 4. Trade him right away. He's a bum. He's washed. Get it all out there. I'm trying to do my best Frank impression right now. Clearly, it's not working. But what is working is JD Martinez inching closer into the Mets lineup. He can return as soon as Monday, according to Carlos Mendoza, even though it's still a fluent situation. All in all, expect JD Martinez, barring any setbacks, again, knock on wood, to return in that Hotlanta series next week against the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta. And trust me when I say his first bomb against the Braves is going to be chills like no tomorrow, batting cleanup. I cannot wait. I'm so ecstatic for JDM. He could go hitless his entire rehab stint. It will not matter. The man just needs to get his body right and ready for MLB pitching. He will certainly do that. I have the utmost confidence in one of the best power hitters in the game in the past decade. I am pumped to see JD Martinez. We're getting closer, folks. We need DJ Stewart off this team. We need JDM in the lineup right now. Stat. That's what I'm going to say. Let's see. No way JD doesn't cost us $30 million to bat 250. Yes, he will not cost us that much, even if he does bat 250, thankfully. Let's see. Has the Kmart special Kmart's, are they even still a thing? What are you guys talking about? Regardless, let's get into this one, folks. In the first inning, Francisco Lindor today is hit by a pitch. The crazy thing, he's hit by a pitch as it bounces because it's in the dirt so hard by the flamethrower Hunter Green, who did look sharp today again that we saw there for the Cincinnati Reds. No less on the bounce in the dirt, hits him right in the hammy area. He gets on base with a hit by pitch. 2 outs. Baty with an opposite field double. And this is the most hilarious thing. Baty manages to get a hit here. Okay, they called it a single. Good, because that's what it was. He gets to second base. I kid you not, it doesn't even really get out of the infield. It's just this almost like quick bloopy to left in the foul territory range that ends up staying fair there. Baty gets on. He gets all the way to second base. Mets have runners on second and third with 2 out. And unfortunately, Starling Marte strikes out on a pitch that pretty much everyone and their mother is going to strike out on. 99 paint down and in. Hunter Green, very hard thing to hit. Hunter Green was making these Mets bats look absolutely silly early on. And for a Mets team that's looked silly offensively against much lesser pitching, yes, I'm not surprised that one of the best strikeout throwers in Major League Baseball, and Hunter Green, is off to a great start strikeout-wise against the Metropolitans today. Hunter Green actually finishes with only 6 Ks today, so if you hammer the over on his K prop that they are promoting there, which is why you should only use our sportsbook at BetUS and nothing else, wink, wink, if you know, you know, you should have hammered the under, not the over, thankfully. But regardless, we then get to the bottom of the first. Jose Quintana ends up giving up a bomb. Quintana gives up a home run to Spencer Steer. Steer's first home run. I don't know if it's Spencer Steer's first home run of the season or not. I don't follow the Reds enough. No less Spencer Steer, again, a young, exciting player there in Cincy, gets the early goings there, and Jose Quintana for a second straight start gives up a bomb. This is a man who only gave up a total of 5 home runs during his stint with the Mets as he returned from injury right around the second half of the season last year. So we saw that happen. Mets are down 1-1. We get to the bottom of the second because the Mets don't do anything offensively prior. Jose Quintana has himself a 1-2-3 inning with 1 strikeout. We see then in the third, Jonathan India, diehard Mets fan growing up, where he even said himself, his father prioritizes Mets games more than his. So I'm sure his dad was really happy to watch these ones. The New York natives, of course, and India, when he had his debut at Citi Field back in 2021, right around the same series that Javi Baez had his debut too, if I'm not mistaken, we saw Jonathan India rake against the Mets in that series. And I've been a fan of his since. Not because he's killing the Mets, but he's a diehard Mets fan. He's a good ball player. Signed a new deal this past offseason with the Reds to stay with them. Love to see it. No less, India did have a good day today. Got himself on base with a hit there. Steer with a walk, but thankfully Jose Quintana is able to work out of his own mess that we would see in the third inning. In the fourth, then, we would have Cruz with a double. Ellie De La Cruz. That's all she wrote. Nothing happens. Then to the top of the fifth we go as Tyrone Taylor gets himself a walk. Harrison Bader against a flame-throwing right-hander gets himself an opposite field single somehow. Yes, he was late, but hey, we take that, baby. We take that every day of the week. Harrison Bader is putrid against righties that we've seen over the past year and a half. So any type of production, I'm going to gladly take that from him there. Lindor finally comes through. Not in the best way possible, but certainly better than a double play. Francisco Lindor drives in the Mets' first run of the game with an RBI sac fly there to deep outfield. The Mets would tie the ball game. Unfortunately, Pete Alonso there with multiple guys on, pops the ball up in the infield, and that does it for the inning. We get to the bottom of the fifth. Jonathan India with a single. Baty with the most insane catch imaginable, as you guys and gals have been watching the highlights there already. Tremendous grab by Brett Baty that I cannot say enough great things about. What an awesome game for him today, and just what an awesome start to the season for Brett, right? That's such a big takeaway for sure. The ability that Brett has had to not only find his defensive game, but also clutch up offensively and not look like a guy that's completely lost to this type of pitching. Even again, Hunter Green, he was at least able to stay in there for in some situations, was able to take some hacks, and again, not look completely silly, where I felt we saw at times Jeff McNeil, of course, before his home run today against a reliever, DJ Stewart against everyone, it feels like, and of course some other batters in this line. Again, even Pete Alonso, of course, had his struggles against the flame-throwing young right-hander. No less, we then get to the top of the sixth. The Brett Baty hype continues as he's the only Met to get on base that inning with a single. The Mets would unfortunately not score there. As we get to the bottom of the sixth with 2 outs, Espinal with a walk and a stolen base, unfortunately. Benson with a walk, so with 2 outs, Jose Quintana cannot get out of the jam. He's pulled from the game. Drew Smith needs to get 1 out, and even though that McNeil gets called for blocking the batter there at second base, which lets Espinal go from second to third, I absolutely hate that rule. Yes, McNeil's leg was in the way, but he was also in a tricky position where it wasn't necessarily easy to move out of the way without hurting himself while also trying to continue with the play. I don't like that rule, especially in the case where Espinal goes back to second base. This was a throw by Alvarez. It's safe. Okay, I can understand the argument more if he's not safe, but if he is safe, why are we even doing this here? I digress. The runner gets pushed to third. Thankfully, that doesn't matter because Drew Smith gets an absolutely massive out to get out of that jam unscathed. He helps pick up Jose Quintana there. Jose Quintana's final line today, everybody, is the following: 5.2 innings, a 5-hit, 1 earned run ball, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts for Quintana tonight. Drew Smith we would see afterwards. And again, when it comes to Quintana, fastball looks solid today. Slider wasn't hanging as much. And what I like to see was, again, just a lesser amount on the walk rate. Get those walks down, Jose. Let's have this be a clean 6 innings, maybe 1 walk, 1 earned run instead of the 4. Get the command right. I know it's early on, but this was a nice, solid outing for Jose Quintana. The only thing the Mets are really missing from their rotation so far this season, as they're currently ranked in the top 3 in team ERA in all of baseball and first in the National League by a solid margin, the only thing holding them back is from getting length from their starters. This early production's great, but I would love to see these guys at minimum go 6 innings. The Mets have only had one starter go 6 innings so far this season, and that has been Jose Butto, the man who did not start the season in the Mets rotation. So go figure. It is, of course, the one guy you initially weren't thinking was going to be impacting your rotation. That didn't take long, though. Butto will be back up as soon as possible. Earliest he can be up with the Mets is April 12th, unless there is a injured list type situation where he could be called up sooner, just based on the stupid rules that the MLB has. I don't know the specifics. I just know he can't be up until at least April 12th, barring any changes on the injury front. But we see Drew Smith again get the job done. And here's the thing with Drew Smith. The same way that he picked up Jose Quintana is the same way that Brooks Raley picked up Drew Smith. Fantastic job by the Mets pitching today to back up each other. We also saw that a little bit offensively today too. Again, the Mets only had themselves 4 hits, 147 expected batting average. They had they of course you could argue had luck on their side, whereas the Reds had no luck with a 328 expected batting average and only got themselves 2 measly runs on 7 hits. But I really have to credit this bullpen today for picking each other up the way that they did. I would love to see more of that from this team, because as we advance further in the ball game, we would see top of the 7th, Jeff McNeil with a strikeout. When I tell you this was a putrid at bat from Jeff, I mean it. And that's why it was that much more important for him to step up and have the home run he did in his next AB. McNeil started this in the 7th with a 3-0 count. He takes a heater right down the pipe again for strike 1. Strike 2, he swings way early on a 94 heat that was paint up and in. Then he strikes out silly on a splitter there. All he needed to do there was probably take me. I mean, even that second pitch, in 94, he was so early on. And I'm like, Jeff, what's going on here? He definitely has struggled. He's been far from locked in at the plate. We all know that, but thankfully he made up for it when we need him to most. Bader would get on with a walk thereafter. DJ Stewart with a walk. DJ, who's been anything but good offensively for the Mets, he has yet to even record a hit this season. He will not be with the Mets once JD Martinez is called up, I assure you. I will be surprised if he is, and maybe that's just because the Mets are like, we don't need both Zach Short and Joey Wendell on the team. That's the only way I could see it being justified, because there is still more upside with DJ on the offensive end, you could probably argue, but defensively literally provides nothing. At least that isn't a net negative, right? But regardless, we advance further in the inning today. Lindor with the walk. All right, bases are loaded thanks to the walks here. Pete Alonso with an RBI on a fielder's choice because Ellie De La Cruz has himself an error. Everyone's safe. Again, it's a soft trickler, not the type of production you want from Pete there, but at least the Mets were able to score a run. They get themselves a 2-1 lead there, and unfortunately afterwards, Alvarez strikes out bad. Alvarez had a bad day at the plate. He could not catch up to Hunter Green, could not catch up to the really pitching that he saw from the Reds either, that being in Fernando Cruz, if I'm not mistaken. But still, Alvy, if there's one guy that in my opinion deserves a pass, and I mean a big pass, would say having a lack of offensive production whereas the scoring position, is 1000% Francisco Alvarez. I mean, I cannot gripe about the guy after the type of outings that he has had so far this season. He has been truly carrying this Mets offense in more ways than one. Entering today's game, folks, had a 199 WRC+. For context, the league average batter is at 100. Double the average is what we saw. Obviously, that dropped off quite a bit after the offer today, but still loving what I'm seeing from Alvarez overall, both offensively and defensively, outside of the at-bats we saw. Baty with an unfortunate line out there with bases juiced to end it, or at least a couple guys on still. And as we get to the bottom of the 7th, then Jonathan India with a single, 2 outs would transpire. Jamer Candelario coming off of a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Reds to pry him from their rivals and the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. He gets himself a double. Brooks Raley then comes in. Again, another situation similar to Quintana. Couple guys on, 2 outs. They bring in the reliever. Brooks Raley gets a huge out after walking Tyler Stevenson. This is, again, the second instance now where we saw Carlos Mendoza bring in a lefty for the hopes of facing a lefty. That not being the case. The first hiccup we saw was Jake Diekman, who ended up facing Mark Hanna yesterday in the doubleheader when he was supposed to face, I think, McKinstry, the lefty, initially. Then today, we would see there in center field initially, and Stuart Fairchild is pulled today, the lefty batter, to bring in the veteran right-handed catcher and DH and Tyler Stevenson. Stevenson issues a walk. Bases are loaded for Brooks Raley versus Ellie De La Cruz, the electrifying young talent, but he still has to find his game at the plate. He still is very swing and miss and not looking great with his pitch selection every time out there. When he makes contact, he's insane. He's breaking every StatCast record imaginable if he's not named O'Neal Cruz, but he's still struggling to find his game and find his command of the zone, and that worked in the Mets' favor here as Brooks Raley gets him striking out looking here. He swings at the first pitch he sees, doesn't swing for the next three. Brooks Raley gets a somewhat favorable call. It was a ball outside corner, but still too close to take, especially with how umpires are today. I would say the same thing with the Mets here. Again, I get frustrating. Officiating has been anything but good to start the season, but if there's one thing that's certain, when you're in these tight counts, you absolutely need to make sure that you're swinging. You cannot be taking anything close in a spot like that. Ellie did. It unfortunately hurt him. Mets get out of that jam unscathed. Huge, huge job. And an even better job that I would say, going back to the stats that you guys saw briefly, was by, yes, that being an Adam Ottavino. Ottavino, after giving up the game-time bomb against Detroit yesterday, or the game-losing bomb, one of the two. I'm already over the Detroit Tigers series. Seriously, what a shit show that was, pardon my French. We saw Ottavino come in today in the 8th again, this time with a 2-run lead instead of it being a tie ball game or anything like that. And Ottavino comes in, gets the job done, makes the Reds hitters look silly. 2 Ks, love to see it. Nice bounce back outing by you, Adam. And it's crazy to say that the Mets' next pitcher, Edwin Diaz, who comes in for the save, didn't have the best stuff today, Edwin, but that's okay. They were able to get the job done. What we see there in the bottom of the ninth, everybody, Edwin Diaz comes in, cue the trumpets, baby. His brother there, Alexis Diaz, I'm excited to see sometime this series, I'm sure. Jonathan India gets on base for a 3rd time today with an infield single. We would see Spencer Steer with a walk. Candelario then with an RBI sac fly makes it a 1-run ball game. And this is where I go absolutely livid. Jared Kelenic just tied the game up for the Braves in the 9th. There you go. They're working that devil magic. They're going to get Kelenic right, unfortunately. Love the hat. Thank you so much, Johnny. Absolute beauty. Shout out to Jay Serrano in the chat. Hope you're doing well, my man. Happy to have you in here. Shout out to everyone watching live and a replay. To my 400 plus viewers on YouTube. Help us get to a couple hundred likes by the end of the live show. Really does mean a lot. Also, help us get to 25K subs. Really does mean a lot, too. And for people watching on Twitter, make sure to hit that like button, follow button, and subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. Thank you all so much in advance. Please stop the guys and gals. Get over it, my friend. We got guys and gals that watch. You'll live, I promise. Chesapeake in the chat. Appreciate you no less. But we will move forward here because Candelario with the RBI sac fly. And again, what makes me so mad about this is, how are you, Harrison Bader, not understanding the arm and the talent you have in Starling Marte in right field? This is a clear ball for Starling Marte every single day of the week. And Marte gets this ball. He likely gets the out at home, or at least gets to the second with ease. But instead, Harrison Bader decides to pretty much cut off Starling Marte, take the catch and throw away from him. A run scores, and that pisses me off because Starling Marte is the one outfielder the Mets have where you know with confidence, sure confidence, doing his best Yoenis Cespedes impression in the corner, drilling out guys with fair ease there in the corner. And the worst part is that this wasn't even like it was overly deep in right field. This was right around the range that you would expect Marte to be able to pounce from his position. That really pissed me off. That cannot happen again. Harrison, you're great in center. Stay in center. Know your place, baby. Okay, thankfully, it didn't go against the Mets more than what it was. But even then, that's a situation that's frustrating because, again, that run is ultimately that we would see there happening, but thankfully an earned run wasn't charged to Edwin because of kind of the hiccups that we saw early on. They ended up giving Jonathan India there getting on base via an error and not an infield single, and that is why Edwin Diaz was not charged with a run today. But thankfully, even after a wild pitch gets the runner to third base, Jake Fraley matches up against Edwin Diaz, and he has no recipe for Edwin. He shuts down the door. He gets his first save of the regular season, and only his 4th outing now being out there. Finally, the first time he's pitching there in a save situation, he gets the job done, and the Mets win by a final score of 3-2. I do see some comments I'm going to get into, everybody. I'm going to get to some donations. We're going to talk about my pick of the night here for tomorrow, at least with BetUS as always. Guys, everybody stay tuned. I will hopefully be live for post-game coverage tomorrow. Pre-game is still up in the air, but if pre-game coverage does happen, it is usually an hour or two prior to the game start. So tomorrow's game is at 4:10, so look anywhere at either 2 or 3 in that range for me potentially go live for pre-game. We'll see what happens. Weekends are always going to be the thing's biggest toss-up, but rest assured throughout the week, we will always have your usual pre-game coverage. Just in today because your boy was busy, had doctor's appointment to deal with. Everything's good. So that's awesome. McBlam with the $5 haul says, rewound the stream to hear the jingle. Felt like I was about to watch some anime. I dig it. Love to hear that, McBlam. Appreciate the donation. Really does mean a lot. I like that too. Wasn't even thinking about the anime part, but I could see it a little bit. Francisco Rodriguez, thank you so much for the $5 haul, my friend. Salute, Wardy. What the hell was Bader cutting? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You literally, that is hilarious, Francisco. Great minds think alike. I'm not the only one, right? By a show of hands, everybody that watched tonight's game, by a show of hands, how many of you were literally losing your absolute mind out of that play the way that I was? Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is exactly how the Mets blow this thing and end up losing. That was my initial reaction, because why else should we expect good things to happen in a scenario where you give up a run, you're, again, stud closer is a little shaky there in the ninth in his first save situation of the year. The vibes weren't feeling all that immaculate at the moment, but thankfully, the Mets were able to get the job done. Let's see. Wardy, you should give out tickets for games on this show. I 100% will. I have before and I will again. And speaking of giveaways, everybody, that is a perfect transition into what I'm about to discuss with you all, because we have an exciting giveaway happening thanks to our amazing friends at BetUS, everybody. Listen up. If you guys and gals are interested in sports betting the way that I am, if you guys bet responsible, if you know to make smart decisions, best way you can, of course, and just make sure that you are being responsible more than anything, BetUS has this awesome offer that I'm excited to share with you all, which is the following. Okay, they're giving away $125 in free play. So we're going to disperse that in 25s to 5 people. All you need to do to get free $25 from me to play at BetUS is to email me. My email should be in the description of the live show. If it isn't, then I will pin it here in the chat, and I'll make sure it's pinned for you all. Draw DRAWT7 at protonmail.com. Email me just a screenshot of you showing that you have proof of your BetUS account, your BetUS account number, and we will get you hooked up with $25 free in play, shouting out BetUS. So again, all you got to do is just send me an email of a screenshot with your BetUS account, showing me the BetUS account number you have, and we're going to get $25 your way to the first 5 people that do that. So all you guys and gals need to do to get in on that is literally email me exactly what I said. So right now, I'm going to pin it in the chat, my email, for you guys to get in on that action should you wish. And shout out, as always, to BetUS for being an amazing sponsor here on the channel. We're going to place a bet with them here in a second, but before I do that, I do want to make sure that my email is available here for you all. Let's see. Okay, let's get that email in there. And now let's get this pin. The chat is going way too fast on my computer, though. I'm going to have to do it on my phone, which is perfectly fine. There we go. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much, too. We're almost at 150 likes already. Continue smashing a like and subscribe on for your boy we've been having early this season. So as we take a look here briefly for a sec, everyone come do it with me here. Shout out, as always, to our amazing sponsor at BetUS. Let me get this pulled up right here. There you go. There's a couple games that we see for Saturday. We see the Mets right now at a plus 110. Plus 110. I don't know if they're going to be the underdog again tomorrow. And as we take a look at tomorrow's matchup, justifiably so, they're the underdog considering Luis Severino's pitching, and we don't know what to expect from Sevy yet against Nick Martinez. But you know what? We might just have to be crazy enough to consider, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to hammer Mets money line tomorrow. But what I am going to hammer is Mets spread. So all the Mets need to do is either win outright. Of course it logs me out, regardless. Going to do it still. I'm going to show it in pregame if we do it tomorrow. The Mets win outright, or they just need to make sure that they don't lose by a certain amount of runs. So that's all it needs to be. So I'm going to hammer there the spread. Hope you guys and gals do too. I'm going to put 50 down on this one. I'll probably do it later if it's not going to log me in right now, and I'll show you guys for our pregame segment tomorrow. And our pregame segments, out of the first 3 or 4 we've done, we've had one day with our parlay has hit. So again, it hasn't been the best start to the year, more so because of how crazy and how unpredictable it is this regular season to kick off the season. I mean, early season, it's really, really hard to know what you're going to get because teams have yet to get in a rhythm. Teams that are not going to be making playoffs are overperforming. Teams that are making playoffs are underperforming. All these kind of things come into play. But no less, we're going to be coming at you with our daily picks, props, parlays, favorite picks of the day. Shouting out, as always, BetUS. But I see here Baty's a stud. Baty is the future. I agree with you. I agree. Baty has looked fantastic. And what has looked so awesome about Brett, in my opinion, everybody, is the fact that Brett is not only getting on base at a nice clip right now, which is awesome, but defensively, it's such a night and day difference than what we got prior, right? And I see here Zach Short there at DH. It, of course, was DJ Stewart. Not that it matters. He came in as a defense replacement later on. And, of course, we saw DJ Stewart do nothing on the offensive end. And as we take a look at the Mets offense as a whole, as things currently stand, I know it's very early season, so the numbers only mean so much. But currently, Francisco Lindor is batting .038 with a .250 OPS. Pete Alonso is batting .241 with a .738 OPS. Francisco Alvarez is batting .333 with a .943 OPS. Brett Baty .273 with a .769 OPS. Starling Marte .192 with a .596 OPS. He was cooled off a bit over the last couple of games, mainly because of the doubleheader yesterday. Tyrone Taylor .176. .476 OPS. Jeff McNeil just a .105 average with a .453 OPS. Harrison Bader .222 average, .485 OPS. DJ Stewart no hits to this point, and Zach Short, of course, .333 average, but he's only had a couple at bats, so that really only means so much. But on the offensive end too, I know I don't know actually, if looking back, if I discussed it heavily as I was breaking down the game inning by inning. I believe I did, but just in case I missed it, yes, Jeff McNeil there in the 8th with 2 outs had himself the piss missile, the solo shot, and trust me when I say that he needed that. But more than anything, I just hope that Jeff can get back to the Jeff that we love to see, because this man still looks so lost at the plate. It was awesome seeing Barrel one like no tomorrow. He absolutely ripped that thing, no doubt to right. But Jeff is a guy that we know that we can't be relying on with power. And he's a guy that we know that even with his contact ability has been so few and far in between over the past year plus. So for McNeil, love the power. That's awesome. It's not something that we know is sustainable. It's not something that I'm expecting much. So Jeff, just continue working on your game, please, because the golf swing at times is kind of brutal. You know, we know that. We know how awesome of a golfer he is. I was literally invited and had the privilege to be at his charity golf event last year, which was sick. It doesn't change the fact that the guy is a beauty with golf, but we see that those golf hacks too often. Way too often, and it's going to be a continuation if something doesn't properly adjust in his game. So we'll soon see what happens on the McNeil front. I hope that this can not only be a monkey off his back, but maybe take off some shoulders. I mean, they really hyped him up in the dugout when he hit the bomb there. They know how much that meant for him and how much he needs something like that. So hopefully we can see a continuation of McNeil starting to trend in the right direction, because up until that home run, he just continued with lifeless at bats, just not looking locked in the zone whatsoever. Far from the Jeff McNeil that we have known and loved when at his best, peaking there in the 2022 season. Tomorrow is WrestleMania. I know a lot of you people are huge wrestling fans, so I hope you all have a fantastic time to all that'll either be attending or going. I know Juan's going, he says. Okay, I'm assuming it's in New York. Where's WrestleMania this year, guys? Is that MetLife Stadium? Where is it? Because I've been seeing a lot of hype with people going, but I'd imagine it isn't too far, because I've heard a good amount of, like, New Yorkers going. I have no clue where it is, though. Is it at MSG? Is it at the Nets Stadium? Is it in MetLife? Or I have no clue where it is. Someone let me know in the chat. I'm curious. Mets get another one. Marlins get the first win. Marlins get their first win, too. There you go. Mets now 2-5 on the season, just 3 games below 500. It's in PA? I didn't even know it was in PA. Where is it in PA? Is it in Philly? Oh, my. What? I had no clue. If I was locked into WWE the way I was a decade plus ago, more than a decade ago, I would have been there every single day of the week. I was like many of you, huge fan growing up. Just unfortunately, personally, because while I know it's acting and I know it's just a form of entertainment, I still get hyped. I still get chills watching Royal Rumble and like the old vets come back out, like Edge, for example, got me so pumped, stuff like that. I mean, you know, there's so many legends. But personally, for me, it has been hard to get more locked in with WWE since I was younger, because I devoted so much of my attention since then to sports. And also, my version of WWE now is more of the real thing, you want to call it, not to slight WWE, because they're great with what they do. Fantastic athletes, awesome entertainment. But I'm a huge UFC fan. I love MMA. That's like first and foremost what I'm going to prioritize in those situations. So next weekend is UFC 300. I'm absolutely pumped. That's an absolutely stacked card. So for my fight fans, I hope you guys check that out too. But yeah, I had no clue. I had no clue it was in the Eagles Stadium whatsoever. So that's new news to me. Really, literally, just over an hour away. I low-key want to go just because of the fact that I know it's right around the corner. But I know those tickets are going to be astronomical, and for me, that isn't locked into the narratives and the storylines that come with being a WWE fan right now. It wouldn't do me good enough, to say the least. Hardy Bros. Oh, of course. Are the Hardy Bros going to be in? Are they still thin? Feel like, unfortunately for Jeff, every time I see him in a headline, it's because he's unfortunately dealing with, substance abuse again, or, he's just not doing well. I'm not saying he's doing that right now. I've been out of the loop on that front for a minute now. Okay, and we're back. Let's talk some Mets baseball, all right? Let's talk some Mets baseball. So, everybody, we saw the Mets again win by a final score of 3-2. We got Luis Severino on the bump tomorrow. Hopefully, he can have a better outing than he did the first time out there. My question to everybody is, after seeing what the Mets have done through their first 7 games of the season, what is your confidence level in the club as a whole right now? Is it the same as it was when the Mets got swept their first 3 games of the season? Like, for my overreaction fans that chimed into my segment on Bleacher Report today, highly implore you all to do so after watching the live show. You can check it out by clicking the link on the community tab on YouTube, as I was live on Bleacher Report right around 12:30 p.m. Eastern today, breaking down the early overreactions for us Mets fans, the good and the bad, what we're liking, what we're not liking, who we should trade, who we should keep and extend long term, all that kind of fun stuff. Make sure to check it out. But yeah, my question to everybody is, truthfully, what is happening with your confidence level? I know we're only 7 games in, but if the Mets are 0-7 right now instead of 2-5, I feel like the overall reception from the fans would be drastically different. We would be having a higher viewership in here because everyone's wanting to rip each other's heads off because we're 0-7. So I'm just curious, because for me right now, the confidence level hasn't really wavered too much. Again, I have a low bar of expectations with this team because of how bad they've been offensively. I need them to show it and prove it to me before my very eyes to really kind of have a further commitment than what I do right now. But my fandom, of course, and being the man covering the team on the day-by-day, will always allow me to be locked in, whether I like it or not, every single day with what's going on with the club. And all I hope is that this offense can just find a groove, because right now, and I know the Mets have yet to have consistency with their lineup. They haven't had the same lineup more than once so far this season. So I would like to see things get in a groove, and I think that'll come naturally once JDM is finally here in a couple days. But until then, I just want this team to show me what we haven't seen the past year and a half, basically. I just want this team to show me aspects to their game on the offensive front that haven't made it such a stereotype to say, hey, we know the Mets aren't going to score here with bases loaded. We expect a double play. Oh, the Mets have 2 on with no out in the first. We expect them to get no production there. That's because of things that they build up over the years, not because of us being automatic pessimists. It stems from something. So I just want to see them again get themselves in a groove, and until then, I'm still going to be fairly low in my expectations and confidence level. Not confidence in the sense of like the team as a whole throughout the year, but more so in like the interim with how things are currently looking. I'm confident in the team. I didn't really lose confidence. Happy to hear that, Shake. Love it. Let's see. Waldo, how you doing? Should meet in a game and sit together. Yes, we will 100%. That is actually stuff we plan on doing this year, everybody. We're going to be doing some actual physical in-house watch parties. We're going to try to get some bars. We're going to try to get some awesome sponsors in New York and do some fun outings like that this year. And we're also going to have hopefully at least one, if not multiple games this year, where we do a nice little Wardy group outing where I tell you guys and well in advance I will be attending a specific game. If I can try to make a deal with the Mets to get a discount on, say, 20, 30 tickets, I will. But if not, then I will just tell you guys where I'll be sitting. Please come to the game at 10. We'll be doing a big tailgate, maybe a live show table, even with the 7 line possibly, and in the marina lot if we're not going to be in the main lot. These are fun, and these are pretty simple things that we can do too. So stuff we haven't done in the past. We're going to be doing community stuff like never before this year, interacting with all you amazing Mets fans, and I just cannot wait. And I hope that if I'm going to sit there in a putrid Mets loss, that I'm not alone. I'm with some amazing followers here on the channel to do it with. And in a win, I would love to go bananas. I would love to voice crack. I would love to just go absolutely bonkers with you guys too. That'd be a lot of fun. Dave says it's still low. 4. Dave, great member, great friend as always. Okay, fairly low. John MP says I'm at 3 or 4 until they show they can hit. Some of it's bad luck, but some isn't. That's fair. Let's see. Tonight was luck, but sometimes you need it for sure. Confidence level is kind of like me watching the 2017 Mets. Understood. Feel that. That stings. That actually stings a lot. Jeff Hardy's doing way better now. Awesome. Very happy to hear that. Hardy was a fan favorite of mine growing up. Seeing that man freaking do the type of flips he would do on the ladder, nothing better. Nothing better. Literally slim to none. Need to know in advance because I might fly in from Puerto Rico. Certainly, Waldo. Waldo, what we'll do when these things happen, because naturally there are games that I'll be going to last minute this year that I let you guys and gals know a day or two prior in case you end up going, in case you want to run into me or anything like that in chat. But for this in particular, I will make sure that you guys know well in advance by at least a couple weeks, if not a month. That is ultimately what I would like to do, and I'll repeat it, and I'll let you guys know again further and further. All you have to do is, again, get your ticket in that section. We'll sit together. We'll have a fun time. We'll definitely do that for sure. 18 games in a row. I think we go 10-8. We got a confidence level. We got a confidence level from Jay. Jay's feeling it. Jay's feeling above 500 for the next 18 games. Let me know, Wardy, when we are headed to Citi Field. I'll be there. Appreciate that, Juan. Really does mean a lot. And I think when that happens, too, that's going to be another, real... I get reality checks a lot, on truly how humbled and grateful I am to be in the position I'm in. I've learned to just go with the flow. Yep, a lot of Grizzle Vet fans will say exactly that. Let's see, M. Stoddard, LGM in the chat, appreciate you. But I'll just say this. Every time that I go to a Mets game, every time that I'm somewhere Mets related, actually in public, and people go out of their way to come up to me, either want photos, want to talk to me, buy me a beer, whatever, it really takes me back on just how amazing this community is and how grateful I am for it. So I'm sure I will honestly get a little choked up when that event does happen this year. Hopefully we do multiple of them because, again, I just cannot begin to tell each and every one of you how grateful I am to be in the shoes that I'm in. Even in a situation where I know that this is probably going to be an underwhelming year for the Mets as they push to try to make playoffs, where we know it's easier said than done. Even having said that, all you guys and gals make this all worthwhile. That's why I love and appreciate every single one of you, even the haters, because at the end of the day, any type of exposure is a good exposure, baby. There's a reason why we've been growing the way that we have over the past couple of years, and that is not stopping anytime soon. We're only growing, we're expanding, we're going to be doing newer, exciting, and better things, and I cannot wait to get the watch party segments finally rolling, hopefully starting next week with you all. Same thing as well regarding the pre-game segments, where it'll be me along with other awesome hosts too when I'm not there. A lot of awesome stuff. Hope you guys are going to be there for it. I'm going on May 11th as well. Awesome. Well, I'll definitely try to hit the game, Dave. You know the drill there. April 29th is a must for me. My second kid was born as the Mets got their last. Awesome. So, yes, you're going to be at the game, Jean. We'll have to talk. Because I'm pretty sure I am going to hit Citi Field before the month ends. It's definitely a goal of mine. So we'll have to get things figured out for sure. That shirt is fresh. I got this shirt actually from my man Dave. Dave Kaplowitz in the chat right now. If I'm not mistaken, Dave, I'm almost certain you sent this my way. And shout out, Dave has been so generous, has sent so many things my way. Always appreciate him. Such a good friend of mine. And Dave, you know who you are. Appreciate you always, my man. Let's see here in the chat. Is Borna going to do Mets Padres series? Oh, I'm sure he will. This year I will not be flying down to San Diego for that series more than likely, as I will be probably too busy dealing with the newborn, around the time. I don't know when the Mets first go to San Diego this year, but if it's in the summer, probably won't be able to do the trip, even though I'd love to. We'll see, though. Barring changes, we'll see how the summer goes and everything. But we will certainly be doing collabs with Borna once it's the Mets and Padres matchup, like we always do. For those that don't know, Borna is a really good friend of mine, not only a business partner that we work together, but also is the host of Hogwatch, which is the #1 Padres channel out there. Very similar to this, just for Padres coverage, a lot more unhinged. He doesn't hold anything back, and currently he's dealing with a weekly suspension on YouTube. I think he must have shown too long of a copyrighted clip, and unfortunately Borna can't post on YouTube for a week, so he's streaming from a hot tub on Twitter, on Instagram, all this stuff, breaking down why the Padres suck. So that's where they're at in Padres land. But for me, everybody, I think that's going to wrap up the show. Again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Really does mean a lot. We will be back live tomorrow. Might be in a different setup. Might do the live stream from the laptop. So if my connection cuts out a little premature like it did on Easter, I apologize. That might happen again. But be on the lookout, everybody. We'll be coming at you with coverage again, more than likely tomorrow. For certain, we're going to see, Sunday, Monday, getting into that Braves series. We're going to cover every single game. We're hopefully going to do at least one watch party in that series, barring any changes right now. And until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. Despite the audio hiccups, apologies, D-Ron, but I appreciate you chiming in as always. Or pardon me, is it D-Ron, Darren? Because some people might pronounce it different. Regardless, Mr. Rivera, I appreciate you. Appreciate you all for watching. We'll talk again real soon. Mets win this one by a final score of 3-2. They hope to continue their winning streak ways to number 3. Tomorrow, Luis Severino looking for a big bounce back outing.